Yo, yo, Eva in the house. So this build is the big one. This is the hard hitting. This is the one I use for incursion. This is the full DPS build. Uh, the hardest hitting build that I've got that I prefer to use for the hardest hitting one. There are others you could use maybe to hit a bit harder, but The one, the one I would prefer is this one. So again, I'm using gunner. You could use shotgun. Um, I have my gunner set up for SMG, but you could switch it to shotgun. Um, I'm using chameleon, but I think I just switched it to chameleon because because of the talent. But I wouldn't normally use that. I would use Saint Elmo's for this one. For this one, I would use Saint Elmo's, or you could, if you haven't got Saint Elmo's, you could use any assault rifle. Carbine 7 is very good for this build. Caretaker again is for this build. Lexington would be good on this. Lord is a very good build. That's a good one for this build. But yeah, I'm using Set Elmo's and then the Purist because of the talent. Perfect Streamline. So those I'm using those two, but obviously whatever you want to use. Um, Coyote mask. I'm using the Coyote mask for the full DPS. I need a better mod on it, but chance damage. So I'm using the Coyote mask for the full DPS. I don't use this for the full DPS build. I'm using a backpack striker, which I don't normally use on striker builds, but I'm using for the hard hitting DPS. I would use a striker backpack. Striker backpack and increases the gain from the striker stacks. 0.65 to 90. The chest is more effective, but the backpack, yeah. If you want to this build for this build, full DPS, use the backpack and the chest. The chest it increases the stacks. So yeah, striker chest, striker backpack, the gloves, holster. Uh, I would change this depending on the situation because I've got a 4-piece striker here and the knee pads are turmoil. So if I'm at the start of a mission and it's busy, but it's not like you haven't got a named boss or you're just going through the early parts of a mission and it's not too stressful, I'd use turmoil because of this. You'd 50% of your damage that you're doing to one enemy will the other 50% will be done to another random enemy. So you'd be killing two at a time. But obviously your damage splits in half. But you're still doing such a lot of damage anyway, so you'd get away with this. Um, but obviously when you're down to an enemy, like in the boss, so you could use this even in the boss fight. You could use turmoil, uh, kill most of the ads, get rid of most of the people. When you're left with just maybe a few ads and the boss, or even you could just switch it at before the boss fight. But yeah, for bosses or just big tough enemies, I would probably switch to the striker which is I've got the defensive one, but now for this DPS build, I'd switch to the weapon damage with crit chance. I'd switch that, and you could do this mid-game. So you could do the early parts of a mission, and then whenever just take cover and just go and switch this, switch knee pads to striker, and then I'd switch the holster to Fenris. Switch to Fenris. So I've got the Fenris, the extra 10% assault rifle damage, and then I've got that 4-piece. That's what I would do, but if you've got the striker there, and so even if you haven't got turmoil, you could use another Seska. Even if you've not got turmoil, you could use Seska, just a normal Seska with not turmoil, just a normal Seska knee pad. So you've got the 80% crit chance. Or even Fenris. You could use Fenris knee pads instead. Like, yeah, whichever way. I did it the long way. So yeah, you could just if you've got a turmoil, you could use a turmoil for the early parts of the mission, and then just switch it, or just use Seska or Fenris. So yeah, that is a hard hitting build, and the stats I've got a 66% chance, crit chance, 118 crit damage, 75. These two, that's what it is. Again, these two are the same as my first build that I put up, but these two. But this build is you're not going to take much damage. So you get, this build is about putting the enemies down before they put you down. Like, you put them down very quickly and do it very fast. Again, the orbit, but it doesn't matter about the pistol or the secondary. You could use any secondary. I would use Saint Almost because of the talent. Like, so every 100 stacks you shot the enemy, which can help you out. If you build up the stacks and then you shot the boss or the toughest enemy, it gives you a few seconds to put some extra damage without taking any damage. Again, I use the shield anyway. The shield can't take much, especially on this build, but yeah, the shield may give you a few seconds to put someone down before they put you down, because you're going to be killing very quickly on this. Again, I use the reviver. I always like to have the reviver, but you could use anything. You could use a turret. Like, if you put a turret down, you might, they might shoot your turret, and while they're shooting your turret, you're killing them. So it's a distraction. You could use a turret or a decoy, or anything, but I prefer to have the reviver, so I can pretty much run and gun. And if I do go down, I'll get back up and put them down. But yeah, this is very hard hitting. But that's how I set up my full DPS anyway. So that's the hard hitting DPS. On to the next one. Peace.